The Triceratops horridus, a massive herbivorous dinosaur, is one of the most iconic and well-known creatures to have roamed the Earth during the late Cretaceous period, around 68 to 66 million years ago. Its large, bony frill and three distinct facial horns made it an unmistakable figure in the prehistoric landscape. This titan of the Cretaceous world stood as a formidable figure, its robust body and defensive adaptations helping it survive in a time when the world was full of dangers, including the formidable theropods that prowled the land. This is the story of Triceratops horridus, a creature whose name, translated as three-horned face, was a testament to its physical prowess, and whose life was defined by the constant challenge of survival in a land where threats were never far away. From its early days as a vulnerable juvenile to its adulthood as a formidable herbivore, Triceratops horridus's journey was one of strength, survival, and communication. Like all dinosaurs, the life of Triceratops horridus began as a tiny, fragile hatchling. Born into the lush and diverse environments of the late Cretaceous, Triceratops was initially an unassuming creature. Its parents, large and powerful, had laid their eggs in the safety of the open plains, hoping that the surrounding herd would help protect the nest from predators. But, like all young dinosaurs, it was a vulnerable time. The Triceratops hatchling, much smaller than the fully grown adults, would have been a very different creature at birth. Its horns, although already present as tiny buds on its head, were not the impressive weapons they would become. The frill, which later became one of the most recognizable features of the species, would have been a soft and relatively underdeveloped structure at first, offering little protection from the world around it. As with all young dinosaurs, the first challenge was to survive. At this stage, the Triceratops would have relied heavily on the protection of its herd. The adults, particularly the larger, more dominant individuals, would have been responsible for fending off the many carnivorous threats that lurked in the environment. The young Triceratops would have spent its early years learning the ways of its herd, how to forage for plants, how to navigate the forests and plains, and how to stay out of the way of the larger, more dangerous carnivores like the Tyrannosaurus rex. This period would have been filled with both danger and excitement, as the young dinosaur learned to grow and survive in the unforgiving world of the Cretaceous. As the Triceratops horridus grew, it began to undergo a dramatic transformation. Over time, its horns would elongate and harden, eventually becoming formidable weapons capable of defending against even the most fearsome of predators. The frill, which originally was a relatively minor feature, began to grow in size and complexity, providing the creature with a massive shield-like structure that could help protect its neck from attacks. These changes were not only physical but also behavioral. By the time the Triceratops reached maturity, it had become an impressive and powerful creature, standing up to 30 feet long and weighing as much as 12 tons. Its thick, muscular body and large, sturdy legs made it a powerful force to be reckoned with on the plains. However, unlike the carnivores that hunted for survival, the Triceratops was a herbivore, and its primary concern was finding enough food to sustain its massive frame. The Triceratops would have spent most of its time foraging for vegetation. Unlike some other herbivorous dinosaurs, Triceratops was not simply a passive feeder. It was an active, selective grazer, often targeting the densest, most nutrient-rich plants. The Triceratops's strong jaws and specialized teeth allowed it to feed on a variety of vegetation, including cycads, ferns, and angiosperms flowering plants. Despite its large size, the Triceratops was capable of moving through its environment with surprising agility, thanks in part to its powerful legs and sturdy body. The horns on the Triceratops head also played a role in its day-to-day life. While they were primarily used for defense against predators, they were also important in social interactions. During the mating season, males would often engage in ritualized combat, using their horns to challenge one another for dominance and access to mates. These battles were not always fought to the death, but rather were contests of strength and skill, where the winner earned the right to mate with the females of the herd. The horns, along with the frill, became symbols of power, with the largest and most impressive individuals often asserting their dominance over others. Triceratops was not a solitary creature. Instead, it lived in large herds, often made up of multiple generations of individuals. These herds were crucial to the survival of the species, as they provided protection from predators and offered a sense of security in numbers. Herds of Triceratops were often led by the largest and most dominant males, who would help defend the group against threats. The social structure of Triceratops herds was likely complex, with individuals forming strong bonds with one another. Younger individuals, including juveniles, would be protected by the adults, and in return, the young would learn the behaviors and patterns necessary to survive in the Cretaceous world. The herd would travel together, foraging for food, migrating across the landscape, and defending one another against threats. While the Triceratops was a formidable force when it came to defending itself against predators, it wasn't invincible. The Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most fearsome predators of the time, would have frequently stalked the herds of Triceratops, hoping to isolate and catch an individual that had strayed too far from the group. When a threat approached, the herd would band together, using their size, strength, and horns to fend off the predator. However, in rare cases, a young or weak individual might fall behind, and this would have been a dangerous moment for the vulnerable animal. To help prevent such situations, Triceratops employed another form of communication: the display of their horns and frills. The sight of a large, imposing Triceratops with its horns flaring outward was enough to discourage many predators from attacking. By raising its head and displaying its frill, the Triceratops signaled to would-be attackers that it was a formidable opponent. This form of communication helped to establish Triceratops as one of the dominant herbivores in its ecosystem. The Triceratops horridus played a vital role in the Cretaceous ecosystem. As one of the largest herbivores of its time, thanks for watching and subscribe my channel.